bad and the weird. You either live by the gun or you die by the sword.
Welcome to the good, the bad, the weird, and the podcast MicroViews. I'm Nicho.
And I'm Chris.
And Chris, you know what every child should experience during at least one summer vacation?
Fun and enjoyment with their friends.
Your local friendly neighborhood serial killer.
Ooh, that would really lower the number of children on summer vacation quite quickly.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, just by maybe 13.
We're doing the summer of 84.
Not to be confused with any of the other summer of fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Because when I went to go research this one, let me tell you, I had to do a lot of double checking. There are many.
Yeah, you can thank Sugi for this one. He's the one who introduced me to it.
This is a fun one. I hadn't heard of it. I had heard of a couple of the other summers of 80 and then fill in another number here. But I had somehow missed this one. So I enjoyed this. This was a fun first for me.
Yeah. So Summer of 84 is written by Matt Leslie and Stephen J. Smith, directed by Francois Simard, Anouk Wissel, and Johan Carl Wissel, starring Graham Vichere as David Armstrong, Terry Scovby as Nikki Casbah, and Rich Summer as Wayne McKay, and it follows a group of teenage friends as they stalk their neighbor to get evidence that he is a serial killer. What
a great and wholesome idea to do on your summer vacation.
Yeah, what do you think about the initial idea of 84, Summer of 84?
I kind of like it. This movie, I want to start off by saying the script writing was finished up in 2015. So I know it came out in 2018, but script was done 2015. And I say that because the styling and the choice the characters make and the time period really, really hit that Stranger Things vibe.
Yes, I 100% agree. I'm glad you brought up that everything was written and planned before Stranger Things came out.
This just happens to be so similar. It's a complete accident. They did not like
it, but it's definitely riding the high of Stranger Things because this is like 2 years after that came out.
Yeah, let's just start right off the bat. Do you like Stranger Things? You're gonna love this movie.
Or like the idea of it, at least.
Yeah, and honestly, I do kind of like it. This plays off of a lot of the memories of what the 80s are like. There's a lot of nostalgia going on here as far as like the freedom to just ride your bike and fart around town and get up to shenanigans.
Yeah.
And then have those shenanigans be bigger and bigger and more risky and more risky.
Yeah, I think it's a rather interesting unbalanced coming of age story.
Yeah.
Where like I can 100% see there's a rough similarity to like Disturbia or Rear Window, where it's like, okay, it's your neighbor that you've been spying a little bit too heavily on.
Yeah, and like, I mean, part of the childhood lore, especially 80s style, where you're essentially in charge of yourself, you're not really being watched necessarily. You're your oldest, I think the oldest kid in this is meant to be 15-ish.
Yeah, so something like freshman, sophomore year. So he's still young.
A kid, but like in the 80s, he's old enough to be entertaining and in charge of his friends.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I really like initially on is that while it is serial killer heavy, there's a lot of things that sets up the group of youths to have like their idyllic dream of becoming the heroes of the town that catch the serial killer.
Yes.
Something that they are not prepared for the real world, which we see early on because they're playing Manhunt, they're hanging out in a tree looking at nudie mags.
Yeah, this movie has a lot of the same elements as a lot of other 80s coming-of-age movies, but instead of setting those coming-of-age movies in elementary or middle school, they've set them all in high school and like given them a little bit more maturity.
Yeah, in this one, it's the opposite of that, where they're on that cusp of being too or mature enough to handle it. But we clearly see that this is setting them up. They're not ready for the cruelty that's going to befall them and really tarnish Davy's childhood.
Yeah, this is really going to ruin the summer of 84.
Yeah.
But
I mean, hell, Davy still has his mom tucking him in at night.
But here's the thing. This is where this movie being produced in 2018, I think, sets it apart from a true nostalgic 80s movie. Even though this movie works so hard to really hit all of those 80s buttons, really bringing in the styling, the like nostalgia goggles sort of vibe. Same thing with Stranger Things, right? That's kind of why people really gravitated to it, is it has a style.
Yeah.
But this movie handles the kids in the same thought pattern as a like later 2000s movie would. Where, like, he's 15. Of course he still has his parents tuck him in. He's a kid.
Yeah.
Like, he's not an adult. He's not a young adult. He's a kid. And they treat them like they are kids in this film. And I kind of appreciate that. It's a very refreshing take.
No, 100%. I mean, they're dealing with their realities in different ways. Like,
yeah.
And it's not just the styling of it. They give it away. They give enough for each character to have a little bit of care for. Like, our main character, Davy, ends up being the most vanilla of everyone to be, like, circulated around.
Davy's so boring.
His dad's a news reporter. His parents have a healthy marriage. Like, everything is going well for him. But, like,
barely anything is wrong with it. Like, even his babysitter is hot. Like, Davy's living the life.
And here's the thing, is, like, that's why, like, he works so well as, like, this blank canvas of course, he's going to be the one who solves all of this.
Yes.
While his friends are going through all this other stuff that we get briefly. I mean, Nikki's folks are going through a divorce. Woody's mom's an alcoholic single mom that he's having to look out for, which makes his downfall so tragic.
Yeah, very.
But then eats his one, like, punky friend who's, like, trying to act so much more mature than he is, who comes off as more childish than the rest of them. He's from a broken household, and his brother's an asshole.
Yeah, and this is something that I found super interesting, is Davy is arguably the most boring and vanilla of the characters, to the point where, like, I think even all of his friends have, like, a nickname or a cool name of some kind. And they just call Davy Davy. Yeah. Like, Davy's too boring for a nickname.
And here's the thing, is I think the reason it works so well is because Davy ends up being, like, their rock that they can come around. He's the only point of stability for them. I mean, hell, look, Nikki's going to him. The chick who's older than him, who's, like, supposed to be the more mature one, is going to him to escape from all their problems.
And this is where... this is a genre that has been almost new. Like... This is something that we're just now seeing, just now exploring, this idea of the nostalgic 80s movie, where it's not made in the 80s, but it's meant to look like it is. It's meant to replicate all of those same feelings and vibes. And this movie does such an interesting job of keeping the characters so much more grounded than a, like, true 80s film would have been. Davy would have been doing a lot more wild shenanigans in an actual 80s film, because, like, why wouldn't you? You've got free reign to do what you want. There's a lot more, like, room for error, if you will.
It ends up feeling like a little bit of a speed run of the Hurts of Childhood book franchise without the satanic one.
Yeah, and I would argue that by having this balance of the more modern, like, parenting and ethics of, like, maybe don't let your child, like, run around in a, like, neighborhood with rampant villains or, you know, a dog that can eat them. Yeah. Fill in 80s trope, right?
Well, and here's the thing. Like, we say 80s trope, but I think there's also something that we can, like, it relates to us a little bit, too, that bled into, like, the 90s. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. This film encompasses a lot of stuff. For me, it feels like the 90s, but with less anime and video games.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, this kid's obsessed with conspiracy theories.
Yes.
I mean, they have Polybius stuck in the background. I mean, they're driving underage. They're drinking underage. I mean, it has the
naughties that the 90s did.
Yeah, it has the continued suburban teenage tropes that we see in, like, all these other coming-of-age movies. Hell, I just watched... I mean, it's not set in the 80s, but it's from the 40s or 50s. American Graffiti, George Lucas's first movie. That's very much of that time, but it's got underage
similar...
drinking. Yeah, it's got that coming of age kind of feel to it.
Yeah, you know, rioting to find yourself sort of situation. Mm-hmm. And that is something that this movie balances really beautifully, is there is troubles for most in this movie, and then they make their own trouble in a way.
Yes.
And that really sets it apart as far as how a horror movie in general would handle itself.
And it's the making of their own trouble. It's not like, going back to American Graffiti that I recently watched, where it's just kind of this childish I mean, there's some danger, but it's
Mhm.
not fully, it doesn't get like Rebel Without a Cause level of danger of,
Sure.
or there's no real major deaths or anything. It ends up feeling like, okay, it's all just for fun and games. And for the most part, it does feel like that, where
Yeah.
like they're constantly after this cop who feels like a normal cop throughout throughout
For
a
most
good
of the
chunk
movie,
of the
yeah.
movie. And it's just Davy of like, I still don't feel right around this guy.
And that is something that I loved, because this movie's horror was tame in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Where it's not trying to be crazy or over the top. It's not really trying to fit in with like a big slasher movie. It's trying more to just be a little too real
Mhm.
in a way where you're like, well, yeah, man, as a kid there was like that one guy in town or that one guy in the neighborhood who was like, I mean, he's fine, but man, he just, like, it was just him living in that big old house by himself. His yard was always a little unmowed. Or,
Yeah.
You know, like, it is horror. This movie does manage to get to all of the things that you want as far as, like, a scary movie. Without necessarily being an over the top. It's not necessarily trying to be, like, the next series.
Well, and I think what it does is, because it's framed from mostly Davy's point of view, is that everything this neighbor does now
Mm-hmm. Feels
Which-
suspicious.
feels suspicious. Like, because there's
Yeah.
that one part where he gets in his he gets a cooler and he gives out ice cream to the kids while he's sitting on his front porch drinking a beer.
And because it's Davy, it feels weird. But, like, I had a neighbor who handed out hot dogs pretty regularly, and, like, he was normal.
The fuck?
He worked at Sam's Club, so he would get
Okay.
extra.
That's a weird thing to hand out on your patio.
We were front yard families, so, like, we were all, like, out there anyway.
Yeah, it's him being out there is supposed to feel like the sense of community. He's the cop.
Yeah,
he's the
he's
point
like,
of authority.
and, like, this is supposed to be set in the 80s where, like, what are you doing inside anyway? It's not like you have endless amounts of internet to consume.
Yeah.
You go outside, you're riding your bike, you're doing random ass shit.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I mean, even as an adult, you're just
And-
going out there and relaxing.
I mean, most adults probably sat in their driveway talking most of the time.
I've had a King of the Hill moment with the lads where we just
Stand
Why
in the yard and talk.
stood out on the driveway with beers watching the kids on their bikes.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it's just one of those things where, like, because it's from Davy's point of view, this movie's more scary.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think that's what makes it more scarier is that he's hiding in plain sight, and like the
Yes.
reveal of his trophies
It's
in plain
actually
sight.
scary. Yes.
Because like it's such a little one-off line of like, wow, you must have a big family. He's like, yeah, I've got a pretty extended family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is subtle. This movie is subtle in a lot of ways.
Yes, but at the same time, like how there are some things about it, going back to
Mhm.
like how Memories of Murder is a memory of that time.
Sure.
This one, as a kid, it works as like a memory of that era of how you would have acted.
Yeah.
Because there are things with the timeline in 84 that still don't really work out, because like we had
Sure.
Richard Chase, who was the serial killer who really stopped people from keeping their doors unlocked back in the day.
That's true. That's true.
And then we have this, the start of Ramirez. Like
Yeah.
there's a little bit of timelines that don't match up. But as a kid, while he's following conspiracy theories and stuff,
Yeah.
he might not be following the Richard Chase case, the Richard Ramirez.
He's following conspiracy theories, which this is 80s. Those conspiracy theories are probably the bullshit ones from the magazines, right?
Oh yeah, it's
Like,
the
these are
World
like-
Weekly News.
Yeah, these are like the aliens are coming, don't worry, sort of ones. However, he's so close to reality. He's so close to the actual truth
Yes.
that us looking back and be like, man, if he had been allowed to pick up a different magazine, he would have been a terrified kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because this movie also does a great job of not just relying on the audience's knowledge of the 80s to kind of like fill in a lot of gaps for you. It blankly tells you, like, no, there's a serial killer. 13 others have gone missing.
Yeah.
Like, there is definitely shenanigans happening in this movie's world. You don't have to make it up.
Oh yeah, no, and just the way it ends up misdirecting you a little bit, where Davey
Mhm.
just pushes past the obvious answer, which that's the thing. It goes against
Yes.
that Occam's razor theory of like usually the
The
most
most
obvious
obvious.
answer is the correct answer.
Yes.
Whereas this one, when it's they say, oh, we caught the guy.
Uh-huh.
And then it's revealed that his cop neighbor is the guy. It's like,
uh-huh.
Of course, this guy has access to plant the evidence on him. This is the 80s.
Yeah, and
there's ways around that. Like, where still cops aren't really talking to different districts. It's like, in a way, it feels like it continues that feeling of like David Lynch's Perfect Blue. Or not Perfect Blue. Blue Velvet.
Okay.
Blue Velvet, where it's this small town, it feels small town murder mystery that the kid's gonna solve on his summer break because he doesn't have anything better to do.
And that's where this is a lot of fun, because this movie is so close to a bunch of those coming-of-age children's stories where, like, it is spooky but not scary. It's not an actual horror film.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh yeah, you know, we saved my parents' house by finding treasure in the cove. Or, oh, we all played baseball together, even though the dog almost killed us.
Yeah.
Like, it's so close to all of those, but instead of it being a dog or your parents needing cash, it's a real-life serial killer.
Well, and here's why. Here's why I think it hits so well with, like, the Goonies or the Sandlot, that kind of thing, is because the way this movie ends is it takes all this, okay, this should end happily. They got everything. He is the small town hero.
Yep.
And the death of his one friend just makes it so much more tragic because he is that one. He's the one that you would hope for
above
all live, because now his mom is truly alone as far as we can tell.
Yep.
Her alcoholism is not going to get any better after this.
No, and it's this movie ends slightly differently than a bunch of those 80s movies where they are like, oh yeah, you know, Biggie left on to go play professional baseball. This one just ends.
It doesn't just end. What it ends with is that lingering dread.
Yes.
And it doesn't do it in that shitty horror film way
of like will they, won't they? No, it ends in the real world sucks.
Or the killer jumping out at you.
Yeah.
Like, it ends with him, it bookends with him riding back down the street at the beginning, from the beginning of the movie. But now his view of the world is completely changed because the killer has left him alive to remind him that, hey, I am still out there. I could be watching you from any point, and you will have no idea that I am
powerless.
Still exactly
Powerlessness. And that is honestly the real horror of this movie. Is like, don't get me wrong, there is the standard horror elements. We do get chase, we get the reveal of the monster, all of that good stuff. But the true scariness of this is that this movie's a little bit too realistic at times.
Yes.
And that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, a lot of the times when we get directors who want to make a horror movie that's a little bit realistic, or even a lot realistic, it gets into that next level of horror.
Yeah.
Where you have to start warning your friends, be like, hey, just as an FYI, this one's like a bit much. You know, like, I'll let you know when to, like, look away sort of ones.
Or it's like me, it's like, we're watching this, have fun, guys.
Yeah,
Woman giving birth to a full-grown man? Let's go.
Yeah, no, so it's this is one of those movies where, like, it doesn't cross the line into a different genre.
Yeah.
It is still firmly a standard summer horror film. It doesn't ever cross that line. But it does unfortunately leave you uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It leaves with that real-life question of, like, man, yeah, that would suck.
Yeah.
Or, oh man, yeah, his friend is dead, and that means that he'll never see him again, and his alcoholic mom is gonna have to figure out what to do with herself, and hopefully she finds some purpose.
And honestly, it doesn't make me want more. Like,
no,
I'm fine with it.
I am happy with this. And that's good, because, again, while I was looking, I was like, man, there's a lot of summer ofs. And I think there's some that are summer of different, like, later 80s. They are not related to this movie, as far as I could tell, in any way.
No.
But I was worried for a hot second.
No, this is very standalone.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Because it has all the extra existential dread to leave me hanging, but I don't want more. I don't need to know more about this villain. He's not some boogeyman that can, like, eventually travel to space.
No.
You know, like, this is fully encompassed. It's not a perfect story. There's plot holes. There's a couple of spots that are, like, a little funky, but not bad enough for me to be like, man, if only there was another movie to explain why the killer doesn't go after so-and-so instead.
Exactly. I don't need more of Danny's story. I don't need any of his friend's story.
And I don't need any of his parents' story.
Nope.
Because, honestly, it's so close to real world that, like, I know what the story is.
Oh, yeah.
The killer is a crazy person, and he's going to kill people.
The killer could be anyone you know.
Exactly.
So then, Chris, rent by streamer declined that we ever watched Summer of 84 despite having an audio recording of us watching it.
I would probably only stream this.
Okay.
This was a fun movie. I did enjoy this movie. I didn't love this movie. I had a great time. I don't feel the need to regularly come back to it. And as far as horror movies go, yeah, the friend group watched it with me after I finished off the review for this. We all agreed, good time, handshake, fun, and then moved on to our normal silly goofy horrors.
Yeah.
So it's not in the genre that I normally go for. So for me, I'm just gonna stream it.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go with stream as well. I do think it is a fun flick. I like it a lot better on my second time watching it than my initial review of it. Because I did do a chiller review on this one years ago.
Yeah. No, this is definitely, like, the first time, fun. Second time, you're thinking about it a lot more. Yeah,
and I think it's specifically because the way it ends. It ends the way you're not expecting it to.
I agree.
And it puts you off just a little bit. But on that second rewatching, it just gets you thinking of, like, okay, this, while shocking, it's not terribly shocking.
No, it's realistic. You just didn't want it to happen.
It's just an unsatisfying ending, and sometimes that's what you need. Whereas, like, we talk about, like, how Revenge doesn't have that catharsis at the end.
No, it leaves you hanging.
This one leaves you hanging in a different way because...
it tells you it ends, and you're like, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, exactly. Where Revenge is just like...
It doesn't really end.
Exactly.
Yeah, nope, I completely agree.
Yeah, so... listeners, get your swim trunks ready and make sure that you read your boat safety manual before next week's episode of Child Murder as we wind down our summer of horror with our last deep dive in a smaller MicroView. So
yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, but anyway, this has been the Good, the Bad, and the Weird MicroViews.
Thanks for listening.
Peace. Thank you for stopping by this here town of the good, the bad, and the weird. We appreciate your listenership, and if you want more of our takes in your life, feel free to check us out on social media at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, or TGTBTW for short. As well, if we missed a fact, your favorite part of a movie, or just have a suggestion and want to reach out and say howdy, feel free to email us at tgtbtwpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to join our Discord at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, where we talk about movies, just share random banter here and there. And always, check out our podcasters, streamers, or any other content creator we shout out in our episodes. We really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for listening. Peace.